Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Abhinav. How are you?
Fine, ma'am.
Good. Why these children they have not joined the 610 now? Okay, Aryan and Abhinav, turn on the video now. Yes, Aryan and Abhinav, turn on the video.
Ma'am, did you say anything? I was just at the end.
I said just to turn on the video. Okay, I can see Aryan now. Just turn on the video. Okay.
Good evening, ma'am.
So today
Very.
we will be learning. Good evening, Shivansh. Good evening. So today we will be learning about the central nervous system and then peripheral nervous. I think they're joining now. Let them join.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, so much. So today we will be learning about the central nervous system and the peripheral. Nervous system. I think you might be knowing these are the two major parts when we talk about the whole nervous system, right? So, central nervous system is somewhere which includes the brain and the spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system, it includes the nerves, right? So, the structure of the brain will be there, the spinal cord, what are the different kinds of the nerves that are included in that, that we will be learning. But before that, it is important to study about the differences between the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. And any one of you, are you aware what are the two different types of the peripheral nervous system? Two types of peripheral nervous system.
R-
Yes.
Reflex action and synapse.
No.
No.
Dhriti,
Mm,
what you said, Dhriti?
Brain and spinal cord.
No. My question is two types of peripheral nervous system. What are they? They are basically the somatic and the autonomic nervous system. Fine. Somatic and the autonomic nervous system are the two different types of the peripheral nervous system. And under this also, somatic and the autonomic nervous system, autonomic has again the two divisions out of it. One is the sympathetic and the other one is the parasympathetic. So, Dhriti, in the school, this chapter is being completed.
Yes, ma'am.
So, have you studied about the sympathetic, parasympathetic, or autonomic,
Yes.
somatic?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, I'll just tell you first of all how these are being divided, and then we'll be going one by one to each and every category and the type of it. I hope, children, my screen is visible to you all. Okay. So, when we talk about the systems, the nervous system, when we talk about, it will have the two divisions in it, which are the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So these are the two major types, central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Now coming to the peripheral nervous system, it also has the two division. The first division is the somatic nervous system and the second one is the autonomic nervous system. Somatic and the autonomic nervous system. Now this autonomic nervous system has the again two division which are the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. This is again a very important part for this whole chapter. So sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. So that is how the division will be. Nervous system, two main types, central and the peripheral. Under the peripheral, they will have the somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. And under the autonomic nervous system, again the two division will be there, sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Fine. Now, these are like the division of them. Now, one by one, we will be learning how actually they
Ma'am,
are different. Yeah, tell me.
ma'am, can you once again explain what are somatic and autonomic nervous
No,
system?
I have not touched any definition part. This is the only idea I've given that these are the division. Okay, one by one now we will be learning about them.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so now I'm going to start to explain what are they. So this is the basic idea. Nervous system has two division. One is central nervous system, the second peripheral nervous system. Same way the peripheral nervous system has two division. One is a somatic and second one is a autonomic. Then autonomic has again two divisions, sympathetic and the parasympathetic. So this is how the division will be. But in some of the book, what happened, this autonomic nervous system, they have mentioned as a separate category here, as a third category here. Fine. But actually, the autonomic nervous system is a part of the peripheral nervous system only. But in some of the book, they have mentioned as a separate category as the autonomic nervous system. Okay. Now, starting with the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system, the differences we will be looking into, because most of the year they are asking about the differences to write on. So what are the differences between the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system? So starting with the first thing is the definition. So what do you understand by central nervous system and what is the meaning of the peripheral nervous system? So when we talk about central nervous system, it includes the everything which is like, which is for the processing, which is for your thinking actually, right? Where the sense organ will be working, they will also be responding to the stimulus. So central nervous system is a central processing, like you have the computer, right? In the computer, you will have the monitor. So monitor is basically is the central, some central part of it. Same way in our body, the central nervous system, which is CNS, is the central processing unit of the nervous system. So it is what? It is the central processing nervous unit. Whereas when we talk about the peripheral nervous system, it is a connection between, so peripheral nervous system, it is what? It is the connection line between the central nervous system and the other overall body parts. So now what happened? This peripheral system, nervous system is generally basically the nerves actually. So all the nerves which are there connecting the central nervous system and which connects the body parts. So they will be helping them to connect. So central nervous system and the other body parts both will be connected together because of this peripheral nervous system. So they are nothing but they are just the nerves which will be connecting these two different parts. One is the central nervous system and the other one is the remaining body part. So PNS is the connection between line between the central nervous system and the overall body parts. So how they will be connecting? They will be connecting through the peripheral nervous system. So that is how the definition of both will be. CNS is the central processing unit, whereas the PNS is the connection line between the CNS and the body part. Now coming to what they are made up of. Composed of means what they are made up of. So here the central nervous system, they are made up of the brain and spinal cord. So they include two parts, major parts, which are the brain and the spinal cord. Whereas here the peripheral nervous system, they includes two parts, which are the somatic and the autonomic nervous system. Somatic and autonomic nervous system. So that is how they are made up of. The CNS is made up of brain and spinal cord, whereas the PNS is made up of somatic and the autonomic nervous system. Now the next one is protected by. So what do you think? The CNS is protected by what? It is protected by the what they are protected by? The CNS. They are protected by the skull here. Whereas the PNS, they will have the vertebral column. So they will be protected by the vertebral column. Then the next thing, function. What is the major function of the CNS? The major function of the CNS is for the storing. Then they will be comprehending. Comprehending means something if we are trying to understand, then in our own words we will be writing it. And then finally, execution. So after understanding everything, what we need to do, we have to execute that information of our body. So all together, they will be doing this work, they will be storing it, they will be comprehending it, and finally they will be executing whatever the requirement is. Whereas the PNS, what they will be doing, they will be transmitting the information. So whatever the information is there, they will be transmitting to the central nervous system and other body parts. So, as already mentioned in the definition, that they are the connecting link between both CNS and the other body parts. Same way, what they will be doing, they will be transmitting the information. So, whatever the information the brain is giving, they will be giving it to them. So, they will be passing it. Same way, the body, whatever the information they are getting, they will be passing it. So, they will be helping both the parts, which are the brain and which are the other body parts, to connect or to join and to share the information. So, that is how the PNS will be working. Then the CNS and PNS, the last difference is about the damage. The last difference is about the damage. In the case of the CNS, the damage can lead to global damage. It means the whole body damage can be there because of this CNS damage. So, if in our body the central nervous system is not functioning properly, in that case, the whole body can suffer, the whole body can have the damage. Whereas in the case of the PNS, it can lead to localized damage. So, localized means only the certain organ or certain part will get damaged or certain nerves will get damaged. Am I clear, children, with all the differences? Arav, Aryan, Abhinav, Vritti, Shubhansh,
Yes, ma'am.
Sumukh, Sudamshu. So, these are the differences between the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So central nervous system processing unit, whereas a PNS connecting link. Central nervous system is composed of the brain and spinal cord, whereas PNS composed of the somatic and autonomic. Then central nervous system is protected by the skull, whereas PNS protected by the vertebral column. Then the function of the central nervous system is the
Ma'am,
storing, comprehending. Tell me.
can you show the second point once?
Yeah, just let me explain this. Then the PNS function is to transmit the information from the brain or from the CNS to the other body part or from the other body part to the brain. And the last point is damage. If the central nervous system is damaged, then the whole body can suffer. Whereas in the case of the PNS, if it is not functioning properly, then the localized damage can be there. It means only the organ, that certain organ, the nerves which are present during that organ, during in their area at all, they will be suffering. So start writing this thing. Then we will be going to the next one. Arav understood? Sudhamshu understood?
Yes, ma'am. Can you explain somatic and autonomic again? Just those two terms.
So somatic and autonomic. Now I will be explaining after this, Abhinav. I did not explain anything.
No, just those definitions.
Okay, definition you wanted to know. So basically, in the case of the somatic, what happened? They will be controlling the voluntary action. Fine, like if I am writing, then that is be controlled by the somatic. Whereas in the case of the autonomic, as the name itself says, auto, right? Involuntary actions will be done by them. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. Like pumping of the heart, we have involuntary. Then glands, formation of the hormones in our body, in the glands. So those will be like autonomic. So now we have discussed the central nervous system, peripheral nervous system differences. Same way, we will be discussing the somatic and the autonomic nervous system differences also. So write this first, children.
Ma'am,
Done, children, with this page? Dhriti, Sudhamshu, Aryan, Abhinav, Sumok.
Still doing, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, do it.
Yes, ma'am.
Shubhansh, done?
Yes, ma'am.
Aryan, shall we go for the next page?
No, ma'am, writing 1 minute.
Okay.
Completed, ma'am.
Okay. And learn them as the children. Draw this, if they ask you differences to write, draw the 3 columns and they write in the same way how I have written here. Shall we go to the next page?
Completed, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, global damage.
Yes. Global damages means the whole body damage. And whereas the localized means only that particular organ will be damaged. Now we'll go to the next topic, the differences between the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. Okay, so somatic nervous system is mentioned by the SONS, and these all will be like capital letter. Don't write in the small letter, it becomes sons then. It is SONS, in all letters with their capital letters, okay? And sometimes in the paper also, they do not give the complete form of it. They ask you to write in the expanded form. In that case, you should write somatic nervous system. Whereas the second one is the autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system. It is denoted by ANS. So somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. So starting with the first thing, which is about the definition. What are they actually? So somatic nervous system is basically, see, both are the part of the peripheral nervous system only. Now, the only difference is between both is that somatic, they will be regulating the voluntary movement. So whatever the actions we are doing with our will, those will be controlled by the somatic peripheral nervous system, like writing, speaking, and then dancing, moving. Wherever, like, the skeletal muscle we have to use, there we will be using the somatic, our body will be using the somatic. Whereas in the case of the autonomic nervous system, all the involuntary actions of the movement of the internal organs will be done by the autonomic peripheral nervous system, like pumping of the heart you have, the lungs, the breathing we are doing, right? So these are what the internal organs, they are working by themselves. So those actions, we are not controlling them. So they come under the autonomic nervous system. So somatic nervous system, it is a part of PNS. So PNS is peripheral nervous system that regulates voluntary movement of skeletal muscles. So what they will be doing, they will be controlling the voluntary movement. So whatever the voluntary movements are there for the skeletal muscles, they will be controlling it. Whereas in the case of the autonomic nervous system, this is the second component of peripheral nervous system. This is the second component of PNS. Again, the peripheral nervous system that manages involuntary movement of internal organs. So that manages involuntary movements of internal organs. So that is what the difference of the definition between both. Now the next one is in the case of the nature of the movement, as I've already mentioned, nature of the movement. In the case of the somatic, it will be voluntary, and in case of the autonomic, it will be involuntary. So nature of the movement, here it can be voluntary and it can be managed. Managed means we can regulate them. Whereas here, voluntary. And whereas here it is involuntary. Fine. Nature of the movement is this. Then the second one, the third point are major components. So what they are made up of. So the somatic nervous system, they are made up of the spinal and the cranial nerves. So what do they have? Spinal and cranial nerves. Spinal and cranial nerves means the nerves which are present in the brain and the nerves which are present around the spinal cord, they are coming under the spinal and the cranial nerves. Whereas the two types of the autonomic nervous system are the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. So sympathetic, sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Then the next difference is function. So whom do you think like will be more complex, the somatic or the autonomic?
Somatic.
Somatic will be more complex.
Yes.
Think again, which will be more complex? Somatic, we can control them, children.
Yeah, autonomic.
Autonomic, because we cannot control them. That is why what happened, they will become more complex. So nature of the function here, the functions are less complex. Functions are less complex than the autonomic nervous system. Whereas here it becomes complicated because we cannot control them. So functions of autonomic nervous system are more complex. Then next, next one, the type of muscle action, types of muscles action. So you might have learned in the grade 9 about the types of the muscular tissue, skeletal tissue, then cardiac tissue, and then smooth muscular tissue. So those type they are asking on. So where they are where they can act on actually, where they can, what type of muscles they can act on. So in the case of somatic, they always act on the skeletal muscles. So they always act on the skeletal muscles. Whereas the ANS, they can act on the smooth, they act on smooth muscles, cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles means the muscles which are related to the heart, cardiac muscles, and in fact on the glands also they can work on. So the somatic, they will be working only on the skeletal muscle, whereas the autonomic, they can work on the smooth muscles, cardiac muscles, and on the gland also. Fine. So these are some of the differences between the somatic and the autonomic nervous system. So write this down now. One minute, children. Done, children, with this page?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, done.
So this is second page about the nature, what it is, voluntary, involuntary, major components, what they include. Components, types, and then composed. They all mean the same. Fine. What they are composed of, it means what they are made up of, what are the types, or what are the major components. They all have the same meaning. Components, types, composed, and made. Done, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Go
Yes,
to the
ma'am.
last page then.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, any doubt, children, about this central nervous system, peripheral nervous system?
No, ma'am.
Aryan, Priti, Shubhansh, any doubt?
Mhm.
Abhinav, Sudhamshu?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I think for you all, it is the off it is going on, except Shubhansh and Priti, I guess.
Can you repeat it?
For you, it's like vacations going on for you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Shubhansh and Priti, do you have the vacations going on right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am,
No. Dhriti, you have come from the vacation, so no vacations.
ma'am, what vacation? My voice is all not.
That is what like the vacations were, na? Okay, children, then that's better to keep the same timing then, because I thought maybe in the morning we can just keep the class, but since they have the school, we cannot do that.
Ma'am, tomorrow there is holiday.
Tomorrow, for what reason there is holiday?
Ma'am, I don't know, but they said.
Ma'am, for the preparation of elections.
Yeah, they are saying that.
Oh, but
I have
tomorrow
handwriting.
but I am not available. So tomorrow I can't keep the class. Okay, then
Okay, ma'am.
anything else, children?
Nothing else.
Okay, fine.
Bye,
Okay,
ma'am.
fine, children.
Thank you,
Bye
ma'am.
bye.
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 Bye,
Bye.
ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shruti. Thank you.
Ma'am, I will put a story like status.
Okay. I'll wait for it.
Ma'am, send
So
me
you
a
should drink.
pictures.
Okay, sure, I'll do that. And also drink some, gargle water actually, the salt water, gargle them. Okay, then only the throat will be fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ritu, then.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye bye. Bye bye.